please the audience can build better questions, of course. Why is HPC important for you, I mean, your institutions? How do you see the future of HPC in the world and Latin America in particular? And will you continue to be in the shadow of the giants, or are you going to make something different? Can you change the scenario? And how, perhaps the most important part, how to increase HPC collaboration? We know you have a structure for doing that, you have Scala, but how to make this real and really explore the potential of the region?
So 3 minutes, so we can have several
My
rounds.
question is, the rules of the game are not clear. Should I answer the first question only?
Yeah.
Or you want me to go through all of them?
All of them in 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes? That means I have to speak even faster than I did before.
We can really try to have a discussion.
Okay, so I'll do it very quickly. Why is it important for our institution? We are a research institution. Number one in Mexico, we have all the areas. We have biochemistry, physics, engineering. We produce technology. There's in Hewlett Packard, many of the printers had chips that were designed at our institution, etc. So it's really important. We're in the frontier. We're the institution with more collaboration you could find with all the world, Europe, United States, Canada. So it's fundamental to have a strong HPC infrastructure. How do you see the future of HPC in the world and in Latin America? I see it very different. Even in Latin America, we have a situation. Brazil is one thing, and the rest of us are in a different level. And it's good to say it. I could not talk, and that is bad. We don't know what the infrastructure is in the private sector in Mexico, or even for Pemex. So here we have representatives of Brazil speaking of machines that are not academic. I only could speak of the academic side. So it would be interesting someday, maybe next CABLA, try to see if that could become transparent. We would like to know it as Mexicans. What is that real infrastructure? What do I see is going to be the future? It seems complicated from our perspective. I wanted to later at the discussion say that since there's companies here, that maybe it would be a good idea that we collaborate to see what could be the ideal machine to be sold in Latin America for the next 10 years. So come together, the different groups, and decide an infrastructure that could be sold to us, affordable in a sense of investment for us, without taking away the idea that we should look to the future, but something that we could do in the near future. Will we continue indefinitely in the shadow of the richest countries? Well, that is very relative. It depends. I believe that Latin America has tremendous human talent. So having this infrastructure doesn't mean, if you have the machine, it doesn't mean that you're going to do the good things. It's the most important part of the human resources. So the infrastructure is important, but I definitely believe that question is a little strange. I would put it differently. I don't think that we are in the shadow. Our scientists are peer-to-peer with scientists of all the world. How to increase the collaboration? That we had a discussion a while ago. I definitely think we have to create something that could take us to international level and push at that level for initiatives. That means go to things like international instances where we could make agreements at the level of governments so that we could take decisions as Latin America. Thank you.
I will make a comment about your third comment on the third question. Well, I didn't present LAHPC, but LAHPC could be easily part of this panel from the point of view of presenting something. We are the largest machine in Latin America specifically for science. And our perspective, well, is it important for us? It defines us. the HPC, LAHPC is one of the main missions is to provide HPC resources to the community. But this third question, we have a lot to learn about the experience of the researchers that use the LAHPC infrastructure, because many of them completely changed the way that they do research because of of Santos Dumont. They had talent, but they didn't have the infrastructure to export this talent. So we have many groups from many different universities that now routinely publish in Science, Nature, the many magazines of nature. So it's they completely changed the way that they play the game, and this was because they had access to this infrastructure, and now they are dealing with the sort of problem they didn't have before. Now they have data that they generated from the simulations that they made, or the information that they expect from the amount of data that they were able to process, and they changed the way that they do research today because of the size of the machine. So the question has two sizes that you need to tackle, and I think this is something that could change the perspective not only of the Brazilian researchers but Latin America as a whole.
Well, just let me tell you that in my slide, in LAHPC, we said that the projects we take care of are from 3,000 to 8,000 cores. So that's the limit on the things we work.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not working with projects that need less, just to do what you're saying. So research changed.
So the discussion has started.
Yes, that's a bit.
Let's move on. I think now it's Advan, right? He's all on board.
Thank you.
And then we're going to go to part where my suggestion. Advan from Brazil, Pablo from Argentina, and then we come back to you. Okay? Is that fair? Sure.
So we try to close the gap between the companies and academia. So for us, HPC is absolutely essential for giving the ability to companies to have access to products that they wouldn't even expect without having HPC. If you think about AI, there is everybody's talking about AI nowadays. If you try to train big models with large data, you need an HPC. And what we try to help the companies is to give access to them to large machines that they can build and develop new products using those type of so it's HPC is important. And I would say that if you take out Petrobras and oil and gas companies, if they don't have access to centers like us, probably they won't have an HPC. I see that, HPC is changing a lot in the last few years. We've seen a lot of new applications for machines with large capabilities, especially for artificial intelligence. So I believe that it's becoming more mainstream to have, to need that, to try to get access to HPC. At the same time, when we see the HPC as a cloud, we still have prohibitive cost for most of the companies, most of the researchers. So I'll say that we are gaining momentum, and I think that places like this are going to be a lot more energy discussed in the next few years. And how to increase? I'll skip the third question because I'm not sure if we have.
We need to answer all of them.
Yes, when I think about HPC, I really think that HPC is not an end in itself. So HPC is something that you have to use to solve a problem. If we think about a major, big problem, a flagship project that can work together as a region, like climate modeling, for example, biodiversity, there's something that we can get together and have access to budget because we're solving a big problem. So maybe that it may be an opportunity for us to have a way of working together.
Okay, thank you. So, let's start with the first. So for me, it's easy. So this is a loaded question. So HPC, from the point of view of basic research, is important. I agree with what you are saying, because you only reach your full capacity once you have the resources, right? And what science can be done in our countries depends on what we have to do it. So from the point of view of basic research, the question is seen, not from the politicians, but for the scientific community. Now, from the point of view of Argentina, the game changed from just having politicians saying, okay, we have to support these guys a little bit to start having a serious plan was really, and I think there is a connection with Brazil in the sense that in your case it was Petrobras and oil. In our case it was a weather forecast because it has a huge impact on how many crops you can produce, right? So that's the bottom line. So showing to society that there is a need of HPC that has a real impact was really the tipping point. So now I will go into the shadow. So I don't like talking in terms of shadow. I think really what Latin America needs is supercomputer centers that are at the level of what we need. And now we're far from that.
Are we?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, not in the case of Brazil.
Well, that's debatable.
Okay.
That's very important.
Anyway, but-
Okay, so I continue. In the case of Argentina, we're only providing 10% of the computing power that is requested by the scientific community.
Oh, okay.
So that's an actual number.
Yeah,
So that's an
now,
actual.
now I understand the point. Okay,
Okay.
I agree.
So, and I think that's the case probably in Chile, in Mexico. So, and I think, so there we have a long way to go. And I'm not really worried into getting a system like El Capitan. I think there is no point there, but I think we have to provide the scientific community with tools so they can scale up, so they can keep their codes updated, keep their science to the level, so if they have a bigger problem and they need to collaborate, they can do it at a serious level. So, and then the last one, I think we are reaching the point in which there may be an opportunity, because now Chile is having national initiative. Argentina is finally deciding to invest some money there. Mexico, I think there is an opportunity to have something like in the US, Telegram 15 years ago, or Praise in Europe, in which we can maybe fly over political changes if we have a regional plan. But for that, I think we need more than an initiative like, and I think these kind of things are very good, but we need something that the government signed.
Okay. Now I'm gonna, I'll speak. Please, go
Well,
on.
yeah.
The industry perspective.
For the first question, yeah, HPC is very important for Petrobras and for the major oil companies to find oil and to produce oil. If you see, I believe that the 4 of the 5 biggest supercomputers in the industry in the world are from oil companies. So it's directly related to the business of the company, and so it makes it easier to get the money, to get the resources, and so on. Okay? And well, in relation to the future of HPC, I can't say that Petrobras will get bigger, even bigger. We may get even bigger, but I can't talk about the future. And of course, Petrobras may help other institutions like LAHPC and Senai, as we did before, and we can do it more. I hope so. Yeah, we have some money that we should invest in research, and of course we may invest in, for example, submarine robots and things like that. But in the later years, we invested some money, a good deal of money in HPC. I hope we will invest even more, but let's see. And if we are going to be in the shadow, well, in relation to Petrobras, well, to have big machines, first of all, we should have a huge demand, okay? And we do have demand, but I don't remember if any oil company has already been the top 10, for example. We've been the top 50 once, and other companies as well. And we do have huge demand, but I believe not at the point to be the top 10. And not only this, to have a big machine should have, the demand should have scalable applications, which is not easy at all, to have applications running thousands or millions of cores. It's very difficult. You should know how to build this machine, which is not easy at all. To sustain the machine, you should have the data center, which is another challenge, and lots of money. So it's not easy to go there, and I don't know if as an oil company we will
at any time have the demand, the money, and everything to be in the top 10. Okay? And how to increase the HPC collaboration? Well, I believe that it's much easier for you in the academic area to collaborate than from us that we are in the industry. For example, here I couldn't share my presentation, even it's public, because in my laptop I can't plug in a pen drive, it's forbidden, and things like that. But I believe that, yes, Petrobras can collaborate, not only with funding, but also as we know how to build machines, we have demands and so on. I hope we will collaborate in a way or other. Maybe not an open collaboration, maybe through agreements, but we hope we can collaborate, and we need to do that.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Well, before I open up for the audience, before, I, with my gray hair and Professor Navoda up here, we are, old dogs in the sense that we are around in the business for quite a while, and we have seen ups and downs and many things. What I say is, I think it has become clear for everybody that HPC in Brazil has a long story, and I think the Brazilian national system for HPC goes back to 1994, and this university here had hosted a machine even before that, a big machine, the Cray INV. Petrobras has an interesting role. Petrobras has always supported research in Brazil, even before the current situation with the Brazilian Petroleum Agency, even before the law. Petrobras supported research in Brazil. I believe that in my institution, we started collaborating with Petrobras back in 1977. I was not that old, but back in 1982, I was there already. Very much before it was regulated by law. So I think we see in the way that this is a collaboration, and I think as Pablo mentioned, we all along all this, we suffer from the ups and downs on our particular science policy in our countries. I think we can all share this, and I believe this is one point. I believe that Brazil is in that position not only because of the oil and gas, but because we have a long story of our ecosystem and much bigger, let's say, a much bigger computational and HPC science related stuff for a long time. And that's why we invited here Advan, which is a new thing. It's not academic, it's not industry, but somewhere in the middle. We invited the industry, Petrobras, and Tadeu from the LAHPC and myself from the academia. We are quite here. But also one thing that I can stress here, and Felipe Navo is down there, I think he will agree with me, it's there is no advance in Petrobras or in the industry if we don't train people, right? So there is a minimum, we have to have a minimum infrastructure in our ecosystem with some kind of hierarchy. Well, I don't need, for instance, UFRJ, Luis Moreira, by the way, he did a PhD in computer science in our university, and we kind of stayed there in the same, I don't know, when you finish your PhD?
Yes.
But when?
1999.
Okay. I was already a professor there, I'm
Yeah.
much older than you. But anyway, I mean, what I'm saying is it has to be a hierarchy.
Sorry.
2009. So it has to be in a hierarchy of machines, and people have to have access to updated infrastructure in order to be trained. There are no, you guys, and so I would like the woman resource formation is really important. There is no place in there's no industrial advance without a very well trained critical mass. That said, well, it's open for the audience. Who you? I think you want to. Would like to introduce yourself and do the question, please.
Hi, I'm Rui Oliveira. I come from the Minho Advanced Computing Center in Portugal, so member of LAHPC and other things. So I'm really grateful to be here today, and I have a couple of questions, in particular to Senat. That's okay. Okay. So it's interesting that you build your institution to help companies. So you're not targeting any research, but mainly companies. This is one of the main challenges we have now in Europe. There's a lot of money being put in projects like we call Euro competence centers and so on, and this has been very, very difficult to achieve. So in Brazil, so you have a very nice computer, almost 2 petaflops, and you can fill it up with jobs from the industry. And is this industry the industry, or do you also have other clients?
Okay, so thank you. So thank you for the question. We do some research. We are also a university, but great part of our job is to try to foster new technology for the industry. So what we try to do is to understand what is new technology. First of all, understand what are the problems of the industry, and then try to connect them with researchers, with equipments like supercomputing, computers, and bring a solution. It's not easy to run an HPC center, even when this HPC center is dedicated for the industry, because we do not have many companies that are aware of how to use it and what the benefits they can get from having HPC. So usually what we do here to close this gap is to not only work with Petrobras. I would say that 30% of the machines are dedicated for oil and gas companies, and but to try to leverage funds from different sources, like the European sources that you mentioned have similar in Brazil, and with these resources like MRP and ours internal resources, we can support the development of new projects with the companies to use high performance computing. Let me give you an example. If I have a medium-sized company that wants to build a new model that demands using some HPC, we can try to use the computer, but we have to pay for using the computer. So we try to leverage funds from different sources, innovation funds, so they can have access to the correct budget to pay for using the supercomputer. It's not easy, but we are surviving in the middle of there. But I would say that without the support of the oil and gas company, it's going to be much, much harder.
Okay. Other questions? Yeah, Lucas. Yeah, can you stand by? Introduce yourself. Yeah, but this is recording. This is recording. Introduce yourself and ask.
Thank you. So my name is Lucas from the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul. So my question is about the energy crisis that is coming up in Europe. You probably heard about it. Do you think that this type of crisis can affect Latin America background in HPC in general, or for example, to the requiring more investment in the code optimization to better use the machines that are already available, make the code more efficient, for example? Or do you think that we won't face this type of issue?
The question is for the table. The question is
For the table.
For
the table.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Isadora, then raising his hand, please.
Well, just to tell you, particularly in Mexico, there is already a plan a few years ago to make a 5 petaflop machine for energy, acquiring it because they were predicting that something like this could be happening in general. So I think it does affect in the positive, in the sense of acquiring it. The research has also changed a lot. There's much more. And just because of your comment, for example, we work a lot with Nissan, the automobile Japanese company that come a lot to Abacus, where we optimize many of the systems, production systems they have.
Well, any other comments from you, from the table? Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I would show something, but I couldn't find it here. Well, in terms of the oil and gas industry, the investments take a long time to mature, okay? When we invest in a new oil field, we would try to show something here. Sometimes it takes 10 to 20 years to get the revenue. And so, and it's common to have political issues. The oil companies are accustomed with it, but it's usually quite it's in that moment. For example, I will show you an example of a bid that we had in Brazil in 2018. I don't know if you remember, but in 2018 we had a very poor HPC inside. And you see for Saturno, two big companies, they are the big dogs, like you say, Shell and Chevron, paid 3 billion reais to get the right to look for oil in Saturno. Okay? There was never any well drilled in Saturno. Okay? What you had at that time in Saturno were seismic images generated by a supercomputer with the help of geophysical and geologists and things like that. And based on this information generated with a tool called a supercomputer, they put 3 billion reais in Saturno to have the right to look for oil. And if it happens to find the oil, they will spend in 10 years more 30 billion reais to produce the oil. And after starting this production, 5 to 10 years later, you see here that 70% of the oil would go to the Brazilian government. Okay, it's a huge amount of money, a huge amount of risk. Okay, and so in the oil and gas industry, the things get several years. Okay, several years. So it's what happened in this moment now have already happened lots of times and will happen again, and it's part of the business. Okay, and so it will affect, as many other events have already affected. What may change the business are, for example, the electric cars and other sources of energy in the long term. Okay? That's my answer.
So diminish the effects of uncertainty is really a good thing for the oil companies. All right. Any other questions? Remark? Please, please come here. She's recording. Introduce yourself. You are the audience. Please step forward, introduce yourself because she's recording.
That was the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning.
Wow. Nice picture. Hi, how are you? Very nice to meet you. And I'm really very happy to be here after 2 years without any personal contact with all of you. I am Luis Cadenas. I am the executive director of Red Clara, which is a regional research and education network in Latin America. It is for us in reality very relevant, all the initiatives that the HPC community are developing here in Latin America, since part of the capacity that we can provide to the countries in the region is through the connectivity that we are able to provide, the way to use in an integrated way, and in a cooperative way, the capacities in the region, and also integrating with other regions at the global level. We finished recently, and I'm going to make a comment about the questions that you made. We finished recently the direct connection between Europe and Latin America through the LA link cable and with the support of the VELA project. Soon we are going to launch and also announce the following phase of this project that is going to complete or trying to complete the digital infrastructure, the connectivity for other countries in the region, including Central America and also some countries that are still out of our network, like Peru, Paraguay, Bolivia, and others. At the same time, we are also trying to promote the idea of participating in the investment that the Chilean government is going to make in the import cable, which is a project similar to VELA but connecting to Asia. And it will complete in some way the connectivity of Latin America to the resources of the world related to digital capacities. I think this is very important since the digital is now I will say, using an analogy, the new champ of battle is something where the capacity of our countries is in play. And we need to be able to take advantage of the digital transformation in order to produce economic development and economic and social development. I mean, the mic don't want me. Economic and social development. And this is very, very relevant for all of us. The idea of being, as the question makes, in the shadow of the developed countries is something that probably is a matter of quantity. I mean, probably in the short term, in the medium term, and I don't know if in the long term, we are still being in a part of this shadow, but we need to begin to go out of that. We are far from that. And in this new VELA project, we are trying to convince all the industry leaders and also telecommunication providers, the academy, the universities in the region, to contribute in an open dialogue way, in a process, to build this new infrastructure. And I think that we need to convince our governments that investing heavily in this area is absolutely indispensable, because competitivity is in game here. Capacity processing data is something that is going to give us at least the opportunity to compete with other countries at a global level. If not, we are going to still maintain a model of dependency, and it is not going to be good for the region. This is my view.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you want to say something? No? If there are any other questions, okay, please come forward, please. Before I give you the microphone, I think in the interest of time, we're going to take this last question, discussion, and then I will hand you the mic again for the closing remarks, because the boss down there told us that we should finish by okay, I'm not afraid.
It's always not the fault.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Marco. I'm from Reutara. I have seen a lot of big machines and a lot of data process. I would like to understand how important is connectivity outside of your institution for you, if it is something relevant, and what's the best or the most important point for you. For example, you need very reliable connectivity, or you need a high throughput connection, or you need, I don't know, jitter.